Friends, it is a wet day today. I was going to come out today and I was going to go for another hike in the woods. But I don't know if you can see. It's raining. Now it's not raining too heavy, otherwise you'd hear it on the on the canvas on top of the Suzuki. But anyway, so I figured, well, I'll just sit in the car and talk about the things that I had planned. Anyway, I mean, no reason to get wet, right? So I'm sitting here, and not many people around because of the rain, and that's just fine with me. This is one of the spots that I sometimes come to, when I go fishing. If you can see out the back window, in fact, I can turn you for a second here. Looking out the back window, if you can see that bluff over there across the lake, that's where I was in the last video. And so this isn't very far from the other place where I was doing the filming. Now, again today, I got to get better at this and remembering. I forgot my microphone that I usually plug in, but I'm hoping that that you can hear the things that I'm saying anyway. And of course, I'll go through it to make sure before I post it up on YouTube. Anyway, I wanted to talk a little bit more today about what God is, and I don't want to be preachy. I'm really trying to stay away from that. So if you feel like I'm getting all sermony, I'm not trying to. Alright, I don't even have to wear my hat. We're sitting in the car. And if you notice, I have a full head of luxurious hair. People say, "Oh, Tom, why do you buzz your hair off?" Well, because I just don't want to be bothered taking care of it. In fact, before I started the video series, I had grown the top of my hair out long. I was getting ready to put it in a ponytail, Viking style. If you remember, I'm mostly Norwegian, born and raised in Minnesota. Spent a significant time of my adult life up in Alaska. I'm living here in Georgia right now because I got transferred down here with work. And, I'll be eligible for retirement in a couple of years. And so that's kind of that side of what I do and my focus. Again, I do statistical analysis, quality control stuff. Pretty boring. Maybe, well, boring to most people. It's kind of a thing for me, right? But writing has become really that outlet for my creative energies. Anyway, so in the book of God and Man, you can see it here. If you want to go out and get a copy, great. I'm going to work on the nature of God and That's on page 29. One of the biggest problems with most religions is that they have clouded the nature of God with a fundamental misunderstanding, creating the idea of a magical being rather than a scientific one that holds to the laws of the universe that he created. In many instances, this is purposeful in order to put the religious leadership in a position where they are the only ones that have the authority to speak to God, or for that matter, for God. This provides them with the power and often a standard of living that is far above the common man. This is why they need to shut down, destroy, or ridicule any person outside of the leadership who feels they have received direct communication from God, and this often ends up with the death of that individual. Now, we talked about Galileo and his persecution by the Catholic Church, but it's not just the Catholics that have done these things. And I can't think of a single religious entity today that has not done the same level of persecution, which is, of course, why I'm doing this. The leadership must hold the people to their orthodoxy in order to remain in control and in their privileged status. And they will do this at all costs. Not for God or your eternal souls, but in order to go after your wealth and take away your power. This flies in the face of what God is. God, remember, is pure energy, and that energy is created from love. We go back to 1 John 1:5. God is light. In him there is no darkness at all. We talked about that. And then also John 1:1. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. And many people rightly equate this passage, saying that the Word that is being talked about is Christ. And I agree with that. However, they don't realize what it means. It means that Christ becomes that connection, that communication, the Word between God and man. And it's frustrating at times when you go and you sit in whatever religious services that you attend and you listen to an interpretation of the Word, and you're like, whoa, where did you get that? And of course, that is God through Christ speaking to you. All right? Telling you that, hey, you better go look this up on your own. Figure this stuff out. Because what that dude, or in some cases what that gal, is saying up there, standing in the pulpit or at the front or at the podium or whatever, what they're saying to you is not the message from the word that God was seeking to communicate to you. There are many concepts of what God is or what God is not. Some believe he is some sort of extraterrestrial. And in a sense, that is true. As for the most part, he is not of this world. So, he's from outer space. Which is kind of funny, isn't it? I mean, look at so many movies and books and other things. They try to explain all of this, but do so in a way that discounts there being an actual creator. But so often, the message comes through. And so if you watch really closely, you're going to see that. If you're watching for it, it, in my opinion, comes through quite clearly that that is what is being accomplished. All right? So think about this. Some people believe that God is a pantheon of personalities, and that would not be wrong either. Others still think of God as a white-haired dude with a beard sitting on a throne in the sky. And if God wants to do that, it's absolutely possible. All right? Why? Because God is power. God can create an incarnation of himself through thought. I want you to think about that. God has control over energy and the ability to create atomic structures. That means actual manifestation from thought to matter. So our philosophy of manifestation is a bit different, but ties to some old and new philosophies together in a way that is an explanation that makes sense and doesn't negate the beliefs of others. Remember, never step on somebody else's belief system, no matter how ridiculous you might think it is. There's always some nuggets of truth in there. So seek to figure out what common ground you have with other folks, and then create fellowship around that common ground. All right? So, I'll go further here. For us, God is a being of pure energy with the ability to manifest as matter and back to energy at will through thought alone. God created the universe and is the universe. Therefore, everything is a part of God at its basic subatomic level, where all matter is energy. Everything that exists is manifest of thought. That kind of hit you there? Everything that exists is manifest of thought. You are a manifestation of God, both as an energetic offspring and as matter. God is constantly talking to us. It is the waves of energy in the universe But all we have to do is listen. All energy is connected and tied to God's sentience and emitted by God's manifestations of matter. The larger the concentration of matter, the greater emission when understood in the terms of physics and calculations from point, line, and space, which are, of course, the dimensions that create time. All points exist, but can at all points in time, but can also be perceived as linear. And so the past drives the future in our experience, but also in reality. Remember, time is only a constant here. Our time here is different than the time constant anywhere else. And in fact, at a micro time level, because you are made up of atomic structure, you create your own infinitesimally small gravitational pull, and therefore the exact time that you experience is different from anyone else and anything else. Remember we talked about the nanotubules in your brain that you are hardwired to accept, that are set up to pull in the sine wave of the hydrogen atom? You are meant to receive communication. It's directed to you regardless of the time dimension or dilation that you exist in. All right? Remember that all points are layered on top of one another, from alpha to omega. And in reality, if you think about God sitting at the center of the cosmos where there is no gravity and therefore no linear time, and that all time exists out there in these bubbles of time dilation, well, then all time is able to be perceived and seen from that center of the cosmos. Kind of strange, isn't it, to really think about that? Kind of blows your mind a little bit. Do you remember Genesis chapter 1? Go back and read the 26th verse. Then God said, "Let us," not me, "let us make man in our image, after our likeness." Yeah, go back and read that again. Our, us. Remember we talked about the Big Bang Theory and how if you cobble together different belief systems, including Shintoism, you can come away with an understanding of the beginning of everything, including God. So, take it to heart. I want you to think about that, focus on that, and I'll chat with you all later. Bye.